honorable sisters, brothers, and friends. I'm getting to say a saying of late. I don't write these jokes. In literature, you put the one little quote mark, gives the author a license for expanding the word within what is the thrust of the subject matter. Well, there's also a saying, better late than never. This is my midweek happy hour. Call it happy hour because if you're honest, have moral character, trying to really do your best, the good Lord, I think, because not all people know of a particular religious leader of that country. So then all those who are not of that country aren't going to obtain salvation? No. Who is, I think, a good person, like I've said, and I'll repeat with a little emphasis, moral character, the good Lord, I think, will grant them eternal salvation. So you say, well, maybe it's better if you're ignorant of any religion, living on an island someplace, and you don't, you don't have TV, you don't know of religion. Well, that could be. But there's this important fact. In my belief, Christ said, at any instant, at any time, his Father, God, can grant salvation. Well, there were those of the laborers in the hot sun, and they said, well, you gave equal to all of us, but some of us have been here and put in the full 8 hours in the hot sun, and others 6 or 4. But those who came last and only 2 hours were all getting equal. And Christ said, if the good Lord grants salvation, then why should you object? As long as you obtain salvation, then be happy that others, well, you could then be pious all your life, do good, and then for some reason you say, I think now I don't want to have anything to do with God, and that's like your final say. Well, then there's the one that has done whatever, and he says, there's a saying, as you get older, you get more wiser. And I've got to admit to God that I was not as good as I should be. And I pray, pray for salvation. And nobody can play God. And if God grants you salvation, then how could the one who said, look what I did all my life, but then this last week, I just said, no, I don't think God, I have to wonder about God. You understand what the thrust is? Nobody can play God. And there's the saying, of course, good God grants salvation, and that's what Christ said, at any instant. not year or month or week or day or hour. He said at any instant, God can grant salvation. Now that's important. That gives everybody a chance. And there was this baseball player, he became famous, and this other baseball player was kind of a rowdy fellow, drinking, carousing, you know. But he said, you know, I got to say, when I go to your church, he says, I can't believe you even go to church. He says, but okay, when I go to your church, he says, I have to think that maybe you have something. And the carousing guy said, why? He said, well, in your religion, they allow if you make a mistake, they give you another chance. He says, you know, in a way, that's what I'm asking for as far as religion and salvation. So, definitely in science, they say it's a spectrum of people, places, situations, and what occurs. You say, well, you got to be a god to be able to know all this and be able to distinguish it and analyze and get to what to make a decision. And now we get to where I say I move upward into the challenge of raising the state of the art of discipline of theology. Who can maybe discuss divinity? Well, I didn't create this world, and I sure as heck didn't create the conditions in this world. So if I'm in this world and I'm limited as a human being, I'm limited no more or less than any other human being as to how I got here, how we got here, why are we here, what best to do. And I've answered that repetitively. And I have about 15 minutes, so I can't just repeat previous. Upward, more of a challenge. And there's the saying, and I have said it, and I've said it now. The good God, I think I've survived that airplane crash, or I survived that situation. Now, just a minute. You mean to say there was, I think, an airplane crash where 200 plus or minus people all died except one passenger. Don't say age or sex or whatever. This one passenger. And the passenger said, I thank God I survived. Now, it appears as though people say, I thank God when something good happens to them. Now, just a minute. Let's go to the challenge here. What about when somebody in your family is murdered? How could that be? Look at this genocide going on in Gaza and getting more and more in eastern Ukraine. And there's African countries. Look at the genocide that's going on. Where is the good God to save those children, women, and men? Where is this good God that this is occurring? Well, who can maybe discuss that? Well, I decided to have a website, Why World's Greatest. Not being braggadocio. What I've achieved, what I've survived, what I've experienced. I say I speak from a position of authority in the discipline of theology, and maybe some other disciplines. I am not, I think, definitely somebody that can do things like miraculously. And that's one of my main issues, is more and more of these multi-million-dollar money makers who touch somebody and they fall down. But they pre-screen them with experts. It's kind of like a racket. I am not one. Now, this has occurred. Evidently, more and more people get to know me, although they were scared to death that I would become public and really expose them. I have exposés, hundreds of them, on the internet. I think this woman purposely, where I walked by, was sitting on the bench with her son in a wheelchair to see if I walked by and had the power to say, young man, arise and walk. That was Christ, and or other prophets. So there's God, and if something good happens, it occurred, that occurred good for you. May have had nothing to do with God. Sure, God can intercede. He has the power. Then if he has this power, why doesn't he intercede in Gaza right now? Why doesn't he intercede in eastern Ukraine right now? Why doesn't he intercede in the horrible conditions and genocide of Africa right now? You understand? Answer the toughest questions. So I don't say braggadocio, why world's greatest, is that it is becoming ridiculous. I have come to the conclusion that if there is a devil, the devil has been used and quoted and so forth as the reason why a person couldn't walk or talk or see. That's what they practiced. And the devil appeared among those people who were Jewish. And they emphasized Einstein. Einstein was a plagiarist. And I talked to him personally. And he agreed with me about it. Modernizing is the polite way I put it. Advanced concepts in theoretical mathematical physics, the future, what it would be. Nobody can say what is the ultimate universal velocity. And he either had to agree with me or be a liar. And he agreed with yours truly. Who knows this? Certainly the Jews do. The Jews know now that I have said that because of their genocide and practice, the leaders, I call them Yahoo, genocide practicing. Leader to genocide practicing. That the devil appeared among those leaders, the leaders. I have Jewish family, Jewish friends all my life. Never had any difficulty with them until the Zionists took over. And then they said, hey, we can do anything we want to, here in the United States even. Hey, don't give me any of that. You do what's legal. And you wanted only a nice little peaceful country, especially for the Holocaust victims to go there. And that's what I supported and helped you obtain. And that's what you wanted, and that's what you should have. Not to go and take as much as you can, money and power, to genocide. Total victory they're talking about. Total victory of what? Then they appear with a beanie, the back of their head, which is black, and the light shining on their head like I do, because this is the way I can have light. And maybe you can see light, if I'm correct. You understand? Therefore, the Jews, the leaders, the Zionists, that expansion and genocide, are the chosen people of who? The devil. And Christ said, you are not of God. Then who are these people that they say they're chosen? Chosen people of the devil. And their genocide must stop now. Thank you.